Welcome to On the Spectrum. I'm your host, Terri Matthews, and this is the show where we inform you, entertain you, yes, and educate you about all things autism. We like to call it prescription TV. Joining me today on Let's Talk is Suzanne McNiff, who's not only a mom, but she's a special education liaison, and we're going to be talking about that famous word in the autism community, ABA therapy. No, it's not an alphabet. It's actually a service that you can receive. Welcome to the show, Suzanne. So great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Well, you know, we go way back.
We do. Way back.
We're going to talk a little bit to our parents and our audience about ABA therapy. It's something that we always hear about. Sometimes it's available in school districts. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes parents pay for it. But what is ABA therapy? What does ABA mean?
Okay, so ABA stands for Applied Behavior Analysis.
Okay.
So the behavior part does not, it's in the context here that we're talking about, it's going to be an action or a skill that we're trying to increase or decrease. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about, applying a behavior analysis, what we're going to do is we're going to analyze what's going on, and we're going to have to think about what we want to increase or decrease. So if it's a sound, we want to increase a sound all the way up to a conversation skill. So it goes from a vast variety of small things to large things.
So this is what was so funny to me, because when I think back about this, when we had to utilize ABA services for Jaden, and you were so gracious to help us with that, I was so confused on what that means. So when you say a behavior, what is a behavior? Is that a good behavior, a bad behavior, or any behavior?
It could be any behavior.
Okay.
So we're talking about a social skill, we're talking about a play skill, communication. We could go which way with this. So we could talk about a negative behavior or a positive behavior that we want to increase or decrease.
Okay, all right. So when you say applied, what are we actually applying?
So it's a research-based and scientifically proven method of discipline as far as a schedule of reinforcement and prompting is concerned to get the desired behavior that we're looking for.
Okay, so give me an example. Just give me like one random example that we might see all the time with the kid that's on the spectrum.
Okay, so when a teacher in the classroom, I'll give you an example of in the classroom.
Okay.
When a teacher asks a child to raise their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So
like this?
Yes, just like that.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to be my model.
Okay.
So we're going to say, okay, Terry, raise your hand. You're not supposed to do it the correct way.
Oh, okay.
Give me one of these. All right. I'm going to ignore that. Terry, raise your hand. I'm going to ignore that too. Terry, raise your hand. Now this time when you do it, I'm going to give you a schedule of, prompting, whether it be I'm going to physically prompt you, mm-hmm. or I'm going to gesturally prompt you, or I'm going to verbally prompt you up, 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 up. Yes, great job. So then I'm going to reinforce that with something positive. And it could be, if you love a high five, or you love a thumbs up, or you like M&Ms, I'm going to reinforce what you just did right there, that mm-hmm. desired behavior that I asked for, that full raising of the hand. I'm going to reinforce that with whatever it is. I mean, if you want me to do handstands or somersaults, I'm going to do handstands and somersaults to get you to do that again.
Well, not all moms out there can do these handstands and somersaults, or teachers, but I get what you're saying. So help me understand this. Could a parent at home utilize the same ABA technique with their children, or do you think it should only actually be executed or implemented by a therapist such as yourself?
So a lot of times it's usually a person that is certified to mm-hmm. be an ABA person or trainer that mm-hmm. does the discrete trial training with them. But I always give tips or techniques that a parent can use at home. So you get a schedule of reinforcement, a positive reinforcement, whether it be an iPad, it could be M&Ms, it could be the pool, it could be just something as simple as a scratch or a light touch, whatever they love. Like, it has to be highly reinforcing.
Okay.
Whatever is highly reinforcing is going to promote that behavior more times than it would if you didn't give them anything for doing that behavior.
So tell me this, who should receive ABA therapy? Is it all autistic children, verbal, nonverbal? Can adults receive ABA therapy that are on the spectrum?
Absolutely. Anybody can receive ABA. It doesn't have to be actually children with just autism. It could be any psychological disorder. Wow. You can actually do this with any child.
So thinking back on my personal times with Jaden, sometimes our schedule in the morning could be difficult. Mm-hmm. We had the whole pick schedule thing. We followed all of that stuff. We tried to stay within routine. Where in that kind of situation for our parents out there, because getting the day started for a lot of parents can be difficult. Mm-hmm. Where would you use ABA? Just with the small set of skill services, I can't call a therapist in the morning, but as a mom, I need to use this ABA type of stuff to help me. And because everybody might not have a therapist that lives in or can FaceTime them like I have done you in the past, where would you use that ABA therapy?
So you would pick a task. You're only going to pick one at that point.
Okay.
So if it's putting shoes on, so you're going to actually have to reinforce, okay, if they put their foot in the shoe, and you're, great job, keep going until you get the full putting in of the shoe, or putting on of the shoe and the foot in the shoe, then you're going to reward big time. So you're going to be like, yes, thank you so much, you did a great job. And we're going to use that reinforcing schedule that we have that, oh, they love the iPad, they love this, they love that, but it's got to be something quick in the morning. So
well, okay, so the thing is that with ABA therapy, the idea is to utilize a therapist, okay? And this can be done in school, but there are techniques that a family can use at home. So I'm just going to use this as an example. Like today we're taping and Jaden's floating all through the kitchen and he eats at the same place, same time, the same meal, and we don't have time to pause. But how could I encourage him to move? Can I use ABA therapy or to get him to move and eat somewhere else in the house?
Absolutely. So if you want him to sit at another table,
yes.
What are we going to use? I mean, what's his highest reinforcer?
iPad.
iPad.
Every parent knows that it's the doggone iPad.
That is the highest.
Steve Jobs knew what he was doing with those things.
He did. So if we're going to say, okay, Jaden, you're going to eat at this table today. If you eat at this table, we're going to give you extra time on the iPad, or something other than the iPad might work a little better. I know it's his highest his highest reinforcer, but at that point when it's satiated, when it's used for fun too, it's not really a reinforcer anymore.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. So in other words, we shouldn't use the things that they have fun with as the reinforcer, things that they have all the time.
Well, and then it becomes satiated. So what I'm saying is,
oh, here's those fancy words.
I'm sorry.
Satiated.
So
when, did I say that right?
So when it is. You're right. So when we use things all the time, they become used to them, and it's not highly reinforcing anymore. So if it's not highly reinforcing, we're not really going to get the same reaction or the same behavior that we're requesting because it's not as reinforcing. I use the iPad all the time, so I'll just wait another 5 minutes and I'll be playing. So, I just know that's how it works. So, oh, great, you're going to get the iPad. And they're like, great, I just had it 5 minutes ago. But it's, something that we have to find. There's got to be a huge menu for these kids to have reinforcers. It could be anything from, as small as a M&M to anything from, like to go outside on the trampoline. So there has to be a lot that we have to be able to reinforce. If it's only a small menu, it's gonna be tough.
Well, let me tell you, just understanding how ABA has worked even within our household, I used it on my kids who have no mental conditions or disabilities or anything at all, but it was good. It was like, hey, you get your homework done on time, then you get to stay up later tonight a whole extra hour, and it actually worked.
It is. It's the schedule of positive reinforcement. I mean, there are different techniques, and, there's special training that we use, like an XXP reinforcement. So it's, we ignore, and then we reinforce for things. So there is, a science to it, but you're absolutely right. I mean, any kind of positive reinforcement, you're going to see a desired behavior again and again because they like that reinforcement.
So tell me this, when would you not use ABA therapy? In the middle of a meltdown, a tantrum, any time like that. So at that time, you're just going to drop all that and start with something else.
You have to wait, doing that, you have to be in a calm and learning environment. So it could be in the kitchen you're learning, but you still have to be calm. During a meltdown is not going to be effective at all.
Suzanne, thank you so much. This is such a level of golden wisdom, as I like to call it. Your little halo is just shining over here as you educate our community in reference to ABA therapy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome. Thank you for having me so much. I appreciate it.
So we hope you got a lot of useful information today on Let's Talks. For more information like this or other stories, please log on to www.onthespectrum.tv. And don't miss our show by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time on The Spectrum.